Hi everybody, this is Ellen. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make these adorable donut charms. You can see they're kind of on the large side, so I guess they're not really necessarily a charm, but I think they're adorable and they go well with the cinnamon roll and the cupcakes that I did, so kind of comparable, and that's kind of where the inspiration came to do these. And this is going to be the version that's on ONE LOOM. I will have the 2 loom version out as well. They are the exact same banding between the 2 of them. Hopefully the technique that I use to show you this on ONE LOOM will be easy to follow along with. I did put little sprinkles on them, which are on the ones I'm going to use. They're these buttons again that I used on the cupcakes and the unicorn poop cookies. And I didn't have the package, I don't think, for all the tutorials, but this is what they are. Favorite findings, just little tiny buttons. They're the things you buy because they're so cute and little, but then you don't know what you're going to do with them, so I'm glad I found a use for them. So you have those. Otherwise there are just using beads of different sizes. These are regular pony beads, this size, that most people buy or that are most widely available. So I'd suggest using something, or the smaller pony bead, which they're 7mm and 5mm are the smaller sizes. So something similar to that would be good. Otherwise we can just do wrapped bands. There's the button or the little buttons that I'm going to use, so you can see the size difference. But like I said, I'm just going to use bands with buttons. I'm putting 6 of them on, but of course you can add or not have any at all and just have a little donut. So that's totally up to you. If you want to do the buttons or beads, you have to, of course, be able to thread them through. I just use a piece of wire that I folded in half. Then you take your band of whatever you want to pull through. Put your band in the middle. So this is the frosting color. Find your bead that you're going to use. And then both ends of the wire go through the bead or the button. And then you just slide it down and pull it over the band. So that's how that gets on. If you don't have any craft wire, you can use, if you have bread ties in your house, you can remove the paper and you'll have a piece of wire in there. If you have a paper clip or anything that will fit through, doubled up through your hole of your button or bead, then you can use that as well. Yarn will work, or string, just the same idea, just a little bit different. So that way. Otherwise, if you don't want to do the beads or buttons, or you don't have any available at the time, but you want to make this, then you would find whatever color you want to be your sprinkle, and you would just put it on your hook, wrap it around once like a figure 8, grab both ends and wrap it around again. And if you want, you can make them a little tighter. You can, maybe pull 2 over instead of 1. It's really up to you how tight you want them or how loose. And then whatever your frosting color is, you pull that through your sprinkle color and just pull them through. I'm going to use 6 of them in the tutorial, so if you want to do that as well, if you want to get those made ahead of time. But we'll get started here. Here's the bottom of the donuts too. Not this one, because that was one of the first attempts I made, but these are what they look like. Pretty good. I didn't want to add in all the beads and stuff until I knew I liked it, so I like the top. Had to fix the bottom. So here's the loom. It isn't the normal setup. We just need offset pin bars. We don't have to have anything special other than that. We're going to be working on 5 pins, kind of section right in here. I'll work in the middle of my loom so you can kind of see without the base plates in the way, but you can just start down at the bottom and find those kind of 5 pin section if you want. But I'll work up in here so you can see better. I'm going to make mine blue this time. Just find those 5 pins again, or a little section there. We're going to drop bands. And I'm just going to start kind of right here in the middle, and then I have enough room up here for my 5 pins up the side. So just kind of explain what these bands are so that you can kind of understand as we go along. The first band that we drop is going to be for the puffing technique. The second 2 bands that we're going to drop on this particular pin are actually for double banding purposes for the side of the donut, or for what becomes the top of the donut. And on this pin is where you'd want a regular band and a sprinkle band if you're going to do that. Otherwise, just grab 2 bands and put them on top here as well. So just put these on here like that. So this one will have 3. This next one on the corner, because we're going to kind of go up this way to the 5. This next one is going to have 5 bands. And these are really horrible bands, but once they're all squished together in the donut, they'll look fine. I just like the color, or I thought it would go good with my other ones. But this one will have 5 bands on this pin. The first one is for the puffing, and the next one is for just the banding that comes out of it, and it's double banded. So 2 flip overs actually end up here, so it's 5 bands total on this one. And the next one up will be the 3 again. So 1 for the puffing, and then either 2 regular or 1 and a sprinkle band. And then we just keep repeating that kind of around the circle. So the next one will be 5 bands. It may seem kind of confusing right now, but I'm hoping that it'll be a little bit easier once we start getting along with pulling things up and getting them out of the way. It'll be good to be understandable, I guess. So it's 3, and we have 1 more 5. If you want to add more sprinkles, these are the pins that, or these bands that we're putting on right now, that's where you want to add them. We do a center banding in here, but I don't think that any of the, if you had, I suppose, maybe really small E-beads, they'd probably show up in there, but they get hidden pretty well. It's basically this row that we're putting on now, so if you want more sprinkles, this would be the row or the bands that you would want to include those on. But maybe just make it once first and then see how you understand it, and then if it works out well, then you can add more too. So 3 bands, we're going to come back in because we went up the 5. So the puffing band, and then 2, or 1 normal band, sprinkle band, 5 on the corner. Then again, puffing, normal, sprinkle. And then 5. If you forget some, or don't add enough or add too many, it's not a big deal. You can remove them. But so 5 and then 3. And 5 again on this last one. So like that. So I have 6 sprinkles. So every 3 on this middle one, 5, 3, 5, 3, 5, and 3. And all the ones that have 3 have a sprinkle on them for my example. So now what we're going to do is kind of make a little starburst type deal in the center here. Still 2 bands, or 2 bands. And you kind of see there's 4 pins in here. From these 2 pins, we're going to go out 3. So from this top one, go out 2 that way, 2 up, and 2 to the right. And we'll do the same thing down here, just the opposite. These are all kind of surface bands, that's why I'm not, starting down here, because it's don't worry about when we're doing the looping. So one there, 2 bands still, and then right here. So that's what we should have now. So we have the kind of outside edge all filled with dropped bands. Then in the center, off these 2 bands, there's 4 pins here normally, but the 2 center ones, we want those 3 bands off of them. These are the ones that are going to be on the very inside of the donut. Now for the center of the donut, 2 bands, and you want to stretch them or pre-stretch them out. I'm pretty rough with them. If you notice any cracking or you don't think that they're going to be strong enough, or you really want these to be good bands, so stretch them out, see what they look like. We don't want them to be super tight, we want them to be loose, because that's what the center, where the center of the donut is. So once you've stretched it out and you've verified that they're good bands so that nothing breaks apart, you're going to double wrap it over these 2 pins here. So let's wrap it once, like so. So once we have that, then what we're going to do is start doing some looming out. And we'll turn this around, make it a little easier. So we're going to loom out of this band that we just put on for our center. Just go in through here, grab whatever 2 bands are on top, and pull them back towards himself around the outside. Like that. So we haven't done anything with any of the dropped bands yet. And you can do the same thing on the other side as well, just to keep it even. Like that. So this is technically our starburst in the center of our design. So now what we're going to do is work off the outside, which I'll kind of show you here. This is what it looks like on the normal version, where we have the star pattern kind of going around. That's what we're going to create and loop with the drop bands. So we'll start with the end up here, which I think is kind of the easiest one to do. And what we're going to do is you want a sprinkle band and one of the regular bands. So go through this loop up here where my hook is, grab a sprinkle band and a regular band, and just pull it up and loop it back towards itself. The only thing that kind of stinks is that you want to move your sprinkle. If it's not moved, you want to move it up towards the top of the design, because this is actually the top of the cupcake, what's on top, or not cupcake, donut, using these same beads, so that's what it reminds me of. So just move it up towards the top. Doesn't have to be like perfect, because you can fix it once it's off the loom, but just so it's on the top of the design and not stuck underneath. So like that. Now the next 2 bands that we are going to pull up here, through this little section again, you're going to grab 2 bands off of this pin. So through here, grab the top 2 bands, or you can do one at a time if it's easier, and just pull that back towards itself. Then do the same thing over on the other side. Over here, 2 bands. Back towards itself. Like that. And if you can kind of look at your design now, the shape that we have here, we have this band coming off the center band that we have, and then there's 3 bands that come out. that's the basic shape that we're going to create out of each one of these, or each one of the Starburst center things. So that's what we're creating. It's just that when we get to other places over here, it kind of looks a little harder. It seems goofy because it's so squished along the side specifically. It kind of looks like a big mess and it's hard to follow, but just kind of remember this is the shape that we're going for. It's just that it's going to be squished when we go on the sides. So hopefully it's not too hard to follow. So next what we want is, this is our next center shape over here. And we have, this is the shape. So we're going to do the same, pulling 3 bands through it. So there's going to be one off this pin, one off this pin, and one off this pin. So you go in through here, grab the two bands, so there should still be one left on the pin. Grab those 2 bands, preferably the 2 that are next to each other, so you have to pull them apart. Like that. And pull those back towards themselves through this band right here. And then next you want sprinkle band and the next band down, and we're going to pull that through this circle. So you can pull that up, and once you get it on the hook, I'm going to actually flip my little sprinkle up too, you can actually replace, because this is over the pin right now, you can actually replace it and put this on there. Put what we're hooking over onto the pin. Because this is what we're going to puff out when we do the last or one of the next steps here. But we do still need to pull a 3rd band, or 3rd bands, up through this middle center off this pin. I'm hoping that because you're watching it that it'll make sense. Trying to explain it well, but it is kind of a visual thing, I think, on this one, because we are squishing things a bit. So you remember that shape we did up here, the teardrop with the 3 bands coming out? Here's our weird teardrop with the 3 bands coming out. So we'll go in through the next center here, or next starburst coming off our center, and we want to do 3 off of, or 3 through this band too. So you go in through here, grab 2 bands from this pin, and you can pull those up and loop it back towards themselves onto this pin right there. And I'll go around and show you the sides of the pin so you can see the what we have for bands on them as well once we get around here. So the next bands we're going to pull up are actually on the same pin that we're hooked on currently. So the sprinkle band and a regular band, or just 2 regular bands if you don't have sprinkles. But we're going to pull those up. I can get a hold of my sprinkle band here. There. So, pull this up, loop them over, both ends on your hook. I'm going to move that sprinkle band around to the top. And then everything on my hook will go onto the pin. Like that. And then we have one more that needs to come through this starburst section, and that's up on this corner pin. So 2 bands off of here. Just 2. Like that. we have our 3 bands coming out of the Starburst. Now we'll go to the next one. I'm just kind of turning my loom whichever way is easiest. So out of here we need bands from these 3 pins. So through here we'll pull up 2 bands. Pull them through and back onto that same pin. And then this one will be the sprinkle band, and the next one. So through the center, sprinkle band, and next one. Get my sprinkle on the top side. And then we need one more coming out of the center. So the top 2 bands over here, like that. Now I understand that my banding of this is probably complicated for somebody doing it the first time, so please just, watch it a couple times if you need to. You can always pause or stop the video and get to where I'm getting if I'm going too fast. So I definitely want everybody to be able to make this. That's why I do one loom versions of everything. We only have a couple more sections left here. So this next section we need to pull up bands on these next 3 pins. So through the Starburst, and 2 bands, and pull those up. And then this one will be a sprinkle band and a normal band. And you'll notice that I am kind of pulling this to the side as I loop these up so that I can capture them and put them both on my hook. Switch my sprinkle around to the top side, and then we'll put everything onto the pin. Like so. Then through the same spot, 2 bands from over here. I'm hoping that dropping of the bands isn't too confusing for everybody, but you'll know that when we're done, if you only have 1 band left, that will kind of show if you've got everything looped up or not, because I didn't add anything in after we dropped the bands and placed the ones on the top. But so last section, in through here, 2 bands from this pin, and then we'll take from this one and this corner one. So to there, and then we'll have a sprinkle band and a normal band. Slide my sprinkle to the front. And now this will go on the pin. And then through here one last time to grab the top 2 bands and loop them back towards themselves. So, hopefully you followed me there. Like I said, if you need to look at it or watch it a couple times to get to this point, definitely do that. So as far as, there should only now be 1 band that's loose on the bottom of all of your pins, and you should have basically every other pin. You'll have 6 bands, no, 8 bands, sorry, 8 bands, 4 bands, 8 bands, 4 bands, 8 bands. These will be 4 bands, and then it's the same on the other side, looped over. So as long as you're there, and you have all the, if you really look at your design, and you see your little teardrop or starburst, and then you have 3 bands coming out from it, you should be fine. And if you have any questions, of course, you can always ask me for clarification on my Instagram or Facebook or something like that. So Alright, so we're here. Now we're going to kind of puff this out. So what we're going to do is these last bands that we have on the pins, we're going to stick our hook in through all the bands that are on there, on the pin. Doesn't matter where you start necessarily. Just stick your hook through all the bands, grab that one bottom band that we still have laying loose, pull it up like you're going to loop it, put both ends on your hook, and then you're going to remove all of the bands that are on the pin and replace it with just that loose band. And we're going to do that for each one of the pins around. So go in and grab that loose band, pull it up, both ends on your hook, release the bands off the pin, and replace. Do that for every pin. And again. Couple more here. Alright, so now on the side of your loom you should only have 2 bands on every pin. It's your frosting color. And once you get there, once again you're going to take frosting color, 2 bands, and we're just going to lay bands all the way around our outside. So 2 bands, and just kind of go around in the circle. Doesn't really matter where you start, just so long as you overlap and go around. And there. So I went all the way around. So now what we're going to do is flip over the 2 bottom bands that are part of the previous layer over the top. So you can start anywhere, just grab those 2 bottom bands and flip them over. I sure hope I said these are double banded. I think I did. Hopefully I did. I think I showed you, maybe. But just all the way around the circle. I'm going to push these down once you get all those bands wrapped over. Then what we need to do is take your hook, and if you need to, kind of loosen the bands back up so you can differentiate between the top and the bottom of your bands. Sometimes it's a little more difficult than others, but you can see how this band right here is on top and this one is the bottom. We kind of want to be able to notice that or see that all the way around, because we are going to flip the bottom bands. If you flip the wrong bands, it's not a huge deal, it doesn't fall apart. At least I haven't noticed the ones that I did that they didn't fall apart, but it does make a little noticeable difference on the edge of the donut. So just go around, take the time to fix that so you can see it. Some of them they're not too messed up or anything like that, so it doesn't take much, but other ones are kind of looped over each other, or just fix them all so you can tell between the top and the bottom. And then what you want to do is flip the bottom bands over. So the bottom two bands are going to go over the top. All the way around. And voila, that is the top of the donut. So now we just need to do the sides. What you should be left with is just two bands on all the pins all the way around. And then push them down so they're out of the way. And now what we're going to do is the cake part of the donut. And I'm going to make mine white this time. It's two bands still. I use these are Loom bands, brand light coffee. They're really they aren't the greatest quality at all, but the color is what I really liked in this one, because I didn't have one in the Rainbow Loom brand. But this one over here is actually Wonder Loom brand bands for the chocolate. They're essentially just Rainbow Loom bands, but marketed under a different name. Those are the ones you can get at Walmart. These are Loom bands again, just because I can't find, I think I might have used all my white Rainbow Loom bands. But not the best quality, but they do, as far as you can see, they aren't cut very well. But for a design like this where it's all kind of looped in together and you're not really looking at, like I use Rainbow Loom on the top here, but for on the side where the banding is kind of tight and compact, you can't notice the goofy cut bands, so that's why I'm using these on the side. I know a lot of people ask me about my bands, so a lot of times I forget or I just don't think about it, because I just grab them out of the thing and use them. But so two bands, I'm going to go all the way around the outside, just like before with our last layer we did. Mostly when I look for bands, I'm just looking for color anyways. That's the most color, the most different, unique bands. It's really having a bigger, or the biggest color palette you can have is the best, I guess. But quality matters too, of course, so we'll definitely concede that Rainbow Loom has probably the better quality out of any of the bands. So once you've gone all the way around, you're going to flip over the frosting layer, which is just the 2 bands. So grab those and flip them over all the way around. Definitely still getting used to moving my loom around so much doing it during a tutorial. So like that. So that's the first layer. Push that down. And we actually need 3 more, so there's 4 layers in total, so you know where we're headed here. This next layer, the same way, 2 bands all the way around, and then flip the bands. And I'll show you just in case you're not used to doing the same color, what I need you to flip over. Like that. So now this time you're going to be flipping over the bottom 4 bands from the last layer. I find that, like, if I go up and try to hook all 4 bands, a lot of times I miss one. So it is easier to just kind of go right underneath that top layer, put your hook down, and then loop it over. At least that works better for me, so. Otherwise I miss a band, and although I usually find it the next round, it's still a pain to fix it, so. Almost pulled over an extra one there. Alright, so that's second layer. You have 4 bands left on the side. Just push them down. 2 more layers. I'm going to show you that I'm doing them, but I'll probably fast forward through it. And then I will slow it down and come back and show you how I close the bottom, and then how to make the hole stand out better in the donut. So 2 more rows. We've already done 2, so I'll get those done quickly. Alright, so I'm finishing up the last couple spots here of the 4th row, and once you get to there, you're going to want to do that same thing we did on the last frosting row, which was make sure to find your bottom bands so we can flip those over. just loosening them up a little bit all the way around so I can make sure I've got it. Then once you've kind of differentiated between the top and the bottom, go ahead and flip the bottom over. There are a lot of bands kind of in there, so just be careful nothing comes off your pins yet. And last one. Alright, so once you get to this point, what we're going to do is basically slip stitch this off. What you're going to do is stick your hook in through one of the pins where the bands are, pull them up onto your hook, go into the next pin over, pull those up onto your hook, and then you're basically doing a slip stitch. So now I have those bands on my hook. We'll go in through the next pin, pull up the two bands, then another slip stitch, go in through the next pin, pull them up, slip stitch. We're going to do that all the way around until we get back to the beginning. And you should take notice of how this kind of looks here. Well, here probably my bands are getting twisted, but just that kind of teardrop shape for the edge of the donut, because we're going to use that later for the center, or fixing the center, so just keep going around. Rotate your loom. Last one. Then once you get to here, don't pull it off yet, what you want to do is find your first stitch. You can kind of look at how mine is, but you want to find that first stitch, put your hook underneath of it, grab a cake colored band, pull it through whatever on your hook, and then make a slip knot. And that will keep it closed. So now you can take this off the loom. And yes, it doesn't look like a donut. Just hold on. I'm going to switch my couple of my sprinkles popped up onto the wrong side. Just going to shove those through to the top. And what you'll do is turn it inside out. Stretch it out, fix your sprinkle bands if you need to. And then squish it together. Looks like my slip knot was off center. I'll fix it later. My slip knot's a little off center, so I have a little bulge right there, but we'll fix that after a while. But I'm going to just tuck this band in somewhere so it's out of the way for right now. I'll conveniently do it right over the top of that bulge so it doesn't annoy me. Alright, so stretch it out, Then you squish it down together, and that gives you a nice round shape. But we want to fix the center, because although it would probably pass off and you wouldn't have, or pass off as a donut and you wouldn't have to really do anything else to this, you'll want to, or you may want to, make it so that the centers are more pronounced and kind of cave in. And how I did that was, it was just 4 bands. Like I said, to kind of remember that edge, we have the little stitch here. Stick my hook up through there, stick it up through the middle of what would be a starburst. From that center 6, just pick a spot, stick it up through there, put a band on. That's the color of your cake I usually use. Pull it all the way down through everything on your hook. So I went through that stitch in the center, so basically it's just through the entire thing. Then I'll put my hook back up through the center, the actual center of the donut, loop over that band, pull it down, and then I'll make a tight slip knot. And that ties the edge of the bottom of the cake part to the top of the donut and helps pull it out. And then I'll take this end, and you can hide them inside the cake part by kind of weaving it in, or I'm just going to pull it to the outside for now, and I'm going to cut it off in a little bit. But then you just go around a little ways, find the next stitch, put your hook under it, come up kind of straight, put another cake color band on, pull it down through everything on your hook, and come back up through the center, put that band back on, pull it down, make a slip knot, and then pull it out into the cake part to hide it. And you just keep doing that around. I think usually 4 times is all it took for me to get the design I wanted, or the kind of open space in the center, I should say, not the design. It's already designed. So a couple more, and that should be all it needs. So under the stitch, up through the middle of the starburst, band on, pull it down through everything, trying not to snag other bands, back up through the center, on the hook, pull it down, slip knot, hide it. And I need one more to have it be finished. Like so. So take it, define that center more, squish it back down, and you have an adorable little donut. Except for, I'll cut my things off, just pull them out a little bit. Like I said, you can have these hidden inside, so yikes. And those just kind of fall back inside. So, pretty adorable, I think. They turn out pretty cute. I think using not so awesome bands has a little bit of a effect on the overall outcome, but I think they look pretty good. So, I hope you like my adorable little donut. I think it's pretty fabulous. Gotta make a dozen, put in a little box. But hopefully you're able to make it alright, and I know it gets a little tricky when we're putting the frosting on, but hopefully you're able to follow it. I just wanted to really make sure that I stayed true to the banding that I used for the 2 loom version so that you can enjoy the same exact design. Definitely want everybody to be able to enjoy my designs. That's why I kind of work on, you know, making sure that that everybody can make them by making multiple tutorials so that they're 1 and 2 loom versions, or whatever I can do to make it so that more people can make them, because I think it's important that everybody be able to enjoy the same things. As always, I want to thank everybody for watching the tutorial. I hope you were able to do it alright. If you have any questions, of course, you can comment down below or contact me on my Instagram, which is @craftingfantastic, or on my Facebook page, which is, you search for Crafting Fantastic or feelinspiffy. It should point you to the same place. You can ask me questions on there, or I know I've helped a few people get through their design, or can't figure out the banding, so we do like 25 DMs of pictures trying to make sure that we've got the correct banding as we go along, which I'm always willing to do to help. But I want to thank you guys for watching. I definitely want to see your pictures if you make some, because I think they're adorable, and I will definitely have more tutorials for you soon. So thank you very much for watching, and of course if you want to see when I have more things coming out, you can always subscribe to my channel here on YouTube. Thank you very much for watching, and I will have more for you soon.